players, then, there's nothing more we can say about that because there's no point. But the players, Alex Walmsley's written an article. If you got through all the adverts on whichever website it's been published on, well done to you. Basic gist, but I know you're watching this on YouTube or listening to the podcast. There'll be an advert.
There are a number of times though when I click on some of those, I think I'm done. I can't. I can't even get beyond the first paragraph.
When I edit the podcast, I'll put an advert here. Right, let's 2 second gap. Right, we'll put an advert there. So, Alex Walmsley's written an article. Haven't read it, but the gist is the players want more of a say, which is they definitely should have more of a say. Mm-hmm. Of course, they should. They're the most important asset we've got. They've also got to take responsibility for their own actions. What's the change from 2 years ago when Gareth Carvell was on this programme? You can go back and watch it. I put the link up earlier. Or
you can go back even further than that, can't you? With John Wilkins
where is it?
What
Where is it? Where's the link?
League 13, yeah.
It's on here somewhere because you've got him with some kind of Russian.
Oh yes.
For whatever reason, players have not bought into previous incarnations.
some kind of Russian, some kind of socialist. What's going on there? Oh.
Yeah, I don't know why, because I think membership of the GMB has gone up actually over the last few years, hasn't it? I believe anyway. So I think that this feels like there's an appetite there for players to get involved. But you make some valid points in that, when you look at the equivalent association down under and the collective bargaining agreement and the power that actually the players do have, and probably rightly should have to some extent, to influence the game, because without them there is literally no game.
But there is a whole logistical service underneath the Rugby League Players Association in Australia. Yes, every team has representatives, but there are fully paid staff. That comes out of your subs. When you're being paid a lot of money, it's easy to pay for that administrative structure underneath. I suspect we don't have that, and the Wilkin Peacock axis failed because they didn't generate enough subs off the players to pay for what the GMB currently have, or what Rugby League Cares. I mean, Rugby League Cares are in Australia at the moment. Steve McCormack, Gareth Ellis, Steve Hardesty are down there talking to the RLPA. So is it something that we need to extend within Rugby League Cares?
I think it references in the article, Clint Newton, who is
full-time paid.
Yeah, his role down under. I think he's spoken to players over here and tried to sort of sell the virtues of it, but for whatever reason, not got the buy-in. And I'm afraid that you kind of reap what you sow to some extent. That sounds a bit mean, but having said all that, players have been consulted. I think I've already said the players have been consulted, and
certainly
senior coaches, senior players, and coaches have been involved in those discussions and consultations.
And ex-players as well.
Yeah. So match review panel, disciplinary, all contain ex-players, and ex-coaches, whatever. So. Yeah, there is a place for a strong players' union, so he makes a valid point. But
you're going to have to get more money into the game. That will filter through to the players being paid a little bit more, and some of that being paid a little bit more becomes part of their subs to a stronger players' union, which then gives you the chance to get more money, and it becomes a more virtuous circle. But you can't start something if you're at such a low base at the moment anyway.
No.
And that was, again, the Peacock Wilkin thing was only aimed at Super League players, but not everybody signed up for it.
No.
If they had, there might have been enough for a senior administrator or something to rival perhaps the GMB in terms of what they've already got within their organisation, but it never got to that point.
So that's my understanding. As being part of the GMB, you've got access to all their things, which makes sense for a sport which doesn't have the money to have players paying out for full-time staff or whatever. So how do we get to this point? Unless the players buy in,
we generate more money.
And what is the big issue with the players at the moment? Is it because they can't hit people in the head anymore? Because that seems to be where it stemmed from, and I understand that that's obviously not the case. It's me being flippant, but we're in this position because of those that have gone before the players of today.
I think it is
and
about
their legal action.
It's about being able. If you are the fruit of the labour, you want some say in conditions of employment. It's not dissimilar to any other union, and there's been some fabulously heartbreaking programmes on about the miners' strike at the moment. And again, a lot of it is not about we want to determine the productivity coming out of the pit that we work in. It's that we want to say in the conditions, and it became a political battle that went beyond the industrial side of things. And I get that if they are the instruments that are being harmed in some way for our entertainment, they need a say in that. But that is different to unionised in the same way that the Rugby League Players Association are in Australia, because they have the resource. If you paid players significantly more than they're being paid at the moment, and they were prepared to put a proportion of that into their own union, they would see a return on that investment. But it has to start with more money in the first place. So let's all crow about how good round one's been, get more people going to see it, get more, Ron Sealer back, good news, get more new sponsors involved, get more money to the players then when they go and negotiate their contracts, get the salary cap raised at some point so that players, minimum wage can be higher. We're still, in this country, we've got that ridiculous anomaly where academy players are being paid less than they would if they were working in McDonald's, and they could be playing first team this week. If
they might be at home,
so there is, it's clearly wrong, but you can't change it overnight or just say we need a powerful players' union. I wish it was as simple as that.
I don't know how we get to that point without the players genuinely buying into it. They've got nothing. I don't think they've got anything to go on strike about at the moment, have they? They're all being paid, and probably not as much as they want to be, but that's the same for everyone in any walk of life. But it's how they've got to get. It's okay. All the players retweeting Alex Walmsley and putting clapping emojis and saying, "Yeah, go." You've got to actually do it now. It's like saying a podcast. You can say you're going to do a podcast, but you can actually go and do it. Get a camera and stick it up so it makes James look better.